Gentlemen, let's start with a bit of straight talk. You've heard the headlines, you've seen the wellness gurus on TV, and you've probably even had a friend swear by it: bone broth. They call it the miracle tonic, the fountain of youth in a mug. It's marketed as if one sip can rebuild your joints, restore your energy, and bring back the strength of your younger years. But here's the truth, and I say this after decades of studying nutrition and men's health. Bone broth is not the magic bullet they make it out to be. Now, don't get me wrong, there's nothing harmful about sipping a warm cup of broth. It can be comforting on a cold evening. It may give you a sense of nostalgia for your grandmother's kitchen, and yes, it contains collagen. But collagen, as important as it is for your skin and joints, is not the nutrient your muscles are starving for. And let's be honest, as men in our 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond, muscle is not just about vanity, it's about survival. It's about standing tall when life tries to push you down. That's where the real story begins. Forget the fads for a moment, forget the marketing. There's another food far simpler, far more powerful, that doesn't just support muscle tissue but actively builds it. And here's the twist: this food isn't flashy, it isn't expensive, it doesn't come with a shiny label. It's been on your breakfast plate your entire life, waiting patiently for you to notice its true power. I'll tell you right now, it's the egg. Yes, the humble egg. But before we go deeper into why eggs crush bone broth when it comes to fighting muscle loss, let's pause and set the stage for what's really at stake here. There's a medical word you might not have heard before: sarcopenia. It sounds complicated, but all it means is this: muscle loss with age. Think back to your father, your uncle, or maybe even your older neighbor. Once strong and full of energy, now they struggle with stairs, wrestle with a bag of groceries, or hesitate before getting out of a chair. That's sarcopenia at work, and the truth is it creeps in earlier than you think. By your 40s, the first cracks can already begin to show. Here's the sobering part: sarcopenia doesn't just rob men of their biceps or chest muscles. It robs them of independence, of dignity, of the simple freedom to move through the world without fear. It leads to falls, fractures, diabetes, even cognitive decline. But I'm here as your guide and your doctor to tell you this: sarcopenia is not destiny. It is not inevitable. With the right choices, you can prevent it. You can even reverse it. That's why this conversation matters. Because when we talk about eggs versus bone broth, we're not arguing over recipes or kitchen trends. We're talking about the difference between decline and resilience, between a man who fades quietly and a man who continues to live boldly. Now, before we push deeper, let me speak directly to you, the men tuning in today. If you've ever felt the creeping weakness in your arms when carrying a box, if you've ever noticed your legs burn faster than they used to on a simple climb, if you've ever wondered whether strength after 60 is still possible, this channel is for you. And here's where you come in. I want you to join this mission. Hit that like button right now, not just for the algorithm, but for yourself. It's a small action, but it says, I'm choosing strength, I'm choosing vitality, I'm choosing life. And let me tell you this: when you hit that like button, I've got 3 blessings for you, straight from my heart to yours. First, may every step you take from here forward feel steadier and stronger because your muscles are fed the right way. Second, may your mornings greet you not with fatigue, but with energy, the kind that carries you through golf, fishing, or simply keeping up with the grandkids. And third, may you discover that growing older in America isn't about fading away, but about standing taller with each passing year. That's what I wish for you, so here's my promise. Stick with me through this series, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe if you haven't already. I read what you write, and I'll be addressing real questions from men like you in upcoming episodes. This isn't just a lecture, it's a conversation. Bone broth had its moment in the spotlight, but now we're going to shine the light where it belongs, on foods and habits that genuinely protect your strength, independence, and manhood. And next, I'll take you deeper into sarcopenia itself, so you understand not just what it is, but how to stop it in its tracks. Because this fight isn't about looking good in the mirror, it's about writing a different story for the years ahead. Gentlemen, let's slow down for a moment and put a spotlight on the real enemy we're facing. You've heard me use the word already, sarcopenia. It may sound like something out of a medical textbook, but it's far simpler and far more personal than that. Sarcopenia is the gradual loss of muscle tissue as we age. And the reason I insist on talking about it plainly is because most men don't recognize it until it's already stolen more than they realize. Picture this: you visit your uncle in his late 70s. Once a man who carried lumber on his shoulders, who fixed his own roof, who seemed unshakable. Now you see him hesitate before climbing 3 steps to the porch. His legs tremble. He leans on the railing, breathless. That is sarcopenia in action. It's not sudden. It doesn't announce itself with a bang. It creeps in quietly, 1 year at a time, until tasks that used to be effortless become battles. And here's the sobering truth: sarcopenia doesn't wait for your 70s or 80s to show up. Research shows the process begins in your 40s. By the time most men hit their 60s, they've lost up to 25–30% of their muscle mass unless they've taken active steps to fight back. That's not just a statistic, it's a warning sign carved into the lives of millions. Why does it matter so much? Because muscle isn't cosmetic. It's not about vanity or six-pack abs. Muscle is your engine. It burns calories even while you're sitting in your chair. It stabilizes your joints so you can walk without stumbling. It shields your bones from fractures when you trip. And it fuels the very independence we take for granted, the ability to stand, lift, carry, and move without someone else's help. When muscle fades, everything else starts to crumble: energy, balance, metabolism, even brain health. Think about that for a moment. Weak muscles are linked not only to falls and fractures, but also to diabetes and dementia. That means sarcopenia is not just about being frail. It's about losing control over your body and in many ways over your future. And for men who often pride themselves on strength, that loss can cut deeper than any lab test number ever will. But here's where I want to bring hope back into the conversation. Sarcopenia is real, but it is not your destiny. Your body is capable of building new muscle well into your 60s, 70s, even 80s. I've seen it in patients who thought they were too far gone. Men who picked up simple strength routines, fueled their bodies with the right protein, and saw their balance return, their energy rise, their confidence come flooding back. That's the power of treating muscle like the life-giving tissue it is. And that's why we can't afford to waste time on health fads that look good on paper but fail in practice. You deserve real strategies that feed your strength, protect your independence, and allow you to keep living life on your own terms. In just a moment, I'll reveal one of the most misunderstood protein debates of our time: why some foods give you only half the tools you need, while others provide the complete arsenal. And trust me, this next part may just change the way you look at your breakfast plate forever. Gentlemen, let's talk about a myth that refuses to die. For the past decade, bone broth has been paraded around like it's the holy grail of protein. Fitness influencers sip it on camera, health bloggers write about its magical collagen, and even some physicians have given it their blessing. But here's the problem: collagen is not muscle food. It is structure food. It builds the scaffolding of skin, hair, nails, and connective tissue, yes. But when it comes to building, repairing, and preserving actual muscle, collagen falls short. And that's not an opinion, that's science. Here's why. Collagen lacks the full range of essential amino acids. The building blocks your muscles must have to grow stronger. You could drink a gallon of bone broth every day, but without those critical amino acids, your muscle fibers will remain hungry, waiting for raw materials that never arrive. It's like trying to build a brick house with nothing but drywall. The structure may hold for a while, but it won't stand strong when life storms hit. Now, let's shift the spotlight to eggs. The humble egg is nothing short of a biological masterpiece. Inside its shell is one of nature's most complete packages of protein. Eggs contain all 9 essential amino acids in the exact ratio your body needs for growth and repair. In fact, scientists use eggs as the gold standard to measure protein quality in other foods. When you eat an egg, your body doesn't have to struggle or waste energy piecing together incomplete amino acids. The fuel is ready-made, perfectly balanced, and instantly usable. Let me put this in perspective. Imagine 2 men in their 60s, both aiming to preserve muscle and stay strong. One drinks a daily cup of bone broth because he read it was the secret to vitality. The other eats 2 whole eggs every morning with his breakfast. 10 years later, the difference isn't subtle. The bone broth drinker may still enjoy his warm routine, but his muscles have continued their slow decline. Meanwhile, the egg eater has fueled muscle growth, fought off sarcopenia, and maintained the independence that allows him to carry groceries, climb stairs, and play with his grandkids. That's not just theory, it's what we see repeatedly in real-world studies and clinical practice. Now, some of you may still have lingering doubts. But Dr. Prescott, aren't eggs bad for cholesterol? That's an outdated fear. Decades of modern research have shown that whole eggs do not increase the risk of heart disease the way we once thought. In fact, the yolk is where the real magic happens. Vitamin D for bone strength, choline for brain function, omega-3 fatty acids for heart and joint health, and antioxidants like lutein and zeaxanthin for vision and cellular protection. If you're tossing out the yolk, you're throwing away the majority of the nutrition. And here's the kicker. Eggs are rich in leucine, the single amino acid most responsible for triggering muscle protein synthesis, the process where your body actually builds new muscle fibers. This is crucial because as we age, our muscles become resistant to protein, a phenomenon called anabolic resistance. The same protein that built muscle easily in your 20s barely makes a dent in your 50s unless it's high quality and leucine-rich. Eggs provide exactly that. 2 or 3 eggs can flip the muscle-building switch back on, especially when paired with resistance exercise. Compare that with bone broth. Collagen doesn't contain enough leucine to trigger the anabolic switch, so while sipping broth might soothe your soul, it won't save your muscles. And when independence, strength, and longevity are on the line, gentlemen, soothing isn't enough. You need fuel that fights back. Now let's get practical. Eggs are affordable, easy to prepare, and endlessly versatile. Scramble them with spinach, poach them on whole grain toast, whip up a veggie-packed omelet, or simply enjoy them boiled with a pinch of salt. Each serving is a direct investment into your strength and vitality. Contrast that with bone broth, which often requires hours of preparation or comes in overpriced cartons at the store. One is a trend, the other is timeless. So here's the shocking truth, plain and simple. Collagen may support your joints, but eggs will keep your muscles alive. And in the battle against sarcopenia, muscle isn't optional, it's life itself. In just a moment, I'll take you beyond protein myths and into an overlooked ally, hydration and electrolytes. Because even with the best protein in the world, your muscles cannot fire, grow, or recover without the right internal environment. And the science there may surprise you even more. Gentlemen, I want you to pause and think about something most men overlook. We've been taught to obsess about protein, about workouts, about supplements. But there's another piece of the puzzle that often gets shoved to the back of the shelf, and without it, even the best protein in the world can't do its job. I'm talking about hydration and electrolyte balance. Now I know what some of you are thinking. Here we go again, another lecture about drinking more water. But hear me out, this is not about carrying a giant water jug around or forcing yourself to drink a gallon a day. This goes deeper. Hydration isn't just about quenching thirst. It's about fueling the very chemistry that makes your muscles contract, repair, and grow. Your muscles are about 75% water. That means every lift, every step, every swing of a golf club, every push to rise from a chair is powered by water inside your muscle fibers. Water is not passive. It's the medium where your body's electrical signals, chemical reactions, and nutrient exchanges occur. If you're even slightly dehydrated, just a 1 or 2% drop, your strength, endurance, and coordination fall off. You don't notice it right away. You just feel weaker, slower, maybe a bit more tired than usual. But inside your muscle cells, the lights are dimming. Imagine trying to run a high-performance car with low oil. It doesn't break down immediately, but every movement strains the engine. That's what chronic low-level dehydration does to your muscles. Day after day, year after year, it chips away at their ability to perform. And over time, this silent decline feeds directly into sarcopenia. But water alone is not the full story. You can drink glass after glass, but if your electrolytes are out of balance, your muscles still won't fire properly. Electrolytes, sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium, chloride, are the sparks that make muscle contraction possible. Every time you flex a bicep, stand up from your recliner, or push through a workout, your brain sends an electrical signal down your nerves. That signal triggers electrolytes to move in and out of your muscle cells, creating the contractions that allow you to move. Without the right balance, the system fails. That's why dehydration so often comes with cramps, dizziness, or sudden weakness. It's not just water loss, it's electrical chaos. And here's the part most men don't realize: as we age, our sense of thirst weakens. By the time you actually feel thirsty, you're already behind. On top of that, medications for blood pressure or diabetes can deplete electrolytes like potassium and magnesium. Combine all of this and you've got the perfect storm for accelerated muscle decline. Let me paint a real-life picture. Two men, both in their 60s, both decide to fight sarcopenia with resistance training. The first drinks water when he remembers, never thinks about electrolytes, and wonders why his workouts leave him sore and sluggish. The second makes hydration a daily priority and eats foods rich in electrolytes, bananas and sweet potatoes for potassium, leafy greens and nuts for magnesium, dairy for calcium, a balanced amount of salt for sodium. He recovers faster, feels steadier, and builds more muscle over time. After a year, the difference is striking. One man is still struggling, the other is thriving. Now, let's zero in on a mineral most men forget about: magnesium. It's involved in over 300 reactions in your body, including muscle relaxation. Without it, muscles cramp, recovery slows, and inflammation rises. And low magnesium is widespread thanks to modern diets stripped of leafy greens and nuts. Worse still, when magnesium is low, other electrolytes like calcium and potassium don't work as well. It's like trying to run an engine with one spark plug misfiring. The whole system underperforms. Sodium deserves a reality check too. For decades, men have been told to cut salt at all costs. But here's the truth: sodium is essential. It helps muscles contract and nerves fire. Athletes know this instinctively. Why do you think sports drinks always contain sodium? The danger isn't sodium itself, it's imbalance. Too much sodium without potassium leads to blood pressure issues. But the right balance keeps your muscles firing and your blood flowing. And don't forget potassium, the mineral that works hand in hand with sodium. It's one of the most common deficiencies worldwide, and low levels lead to cramps, weakness, even irregular heartbeats. Bananas are famous for potassium, but foods like spinach, beans, avocados, and salmon blow bananas out of the water. When you bring these foods into your daily routine, you're not just protecting your heart, you're fueling every single muscle contraction. So how do you put this into practice? First, stop treating hydration as an afterthought. Make it intentional. Drink steadily throughout the day instead of chugging at night. Aim for pale yellow urine, that's your body's natural gauge. Second, eat whole foods that supply electrolytes. Build meals around leafy greens, nuts, seeds, fruits, and vegetables. And if you're sweating heavily or exercising outdoors, consider a clean electrolyte drink, not the sugar-loaded sports drinks, but balanced formulas with sodium, potassium, and magnesium. When hydration and electrolytes are right, everything else works better. Protein gets absorbed more effectively. Muscles contract with power and recover with speed. Blood flows freely, carrying oxygen and nutrients to where they are needed. Waste products like lactic acid clear out quickly, reducing soreness. That's why elite athletes obsess about hydration. It's their hidden advantage, and it should be yours too. Let me be very clear. Fighting sarcopenia is not about one single magic food or supplement. It's about stacking small choices in your favor. Resistance training, protein, rest, and yes, hydration and electrolytes. They're not glamorous, they're not trendy, but they are foundational. Without them, you're leaving half your strength on the table. With them, you're stacking the deck against decline, and here's where I want to lead you next. Because hydration is about fueling performance today. But there's another hidden enemy that quietly eats away at your strength tomorrow: chronic inflammation. In the next section, I'll show you how the very foods you eat can either pour gasoline on that fire or cool it down so your muscles can repair and thrive. Gentlemen, we've talked about protein, we've talked about hydration. Now let's shine the light on something that's quietly destroying muscle strength in millions of men, something most of you won't hear about in the headlines: chronic inflammation. Here's the truth. Every workout, every lift, every long walk, every set of push-ups creates tiny tears in your muscle fibers. That's not a bad thing, it's how growth happens. Your body responds to those micro tears with a short burst of inflammation, sending healing cells and nutrients to repair and rebuild stronger fibers. Inflammation in the right amount and at the right time is your body's construction crew. But here's the catch: when inflammation doesn't turn off, when it lingers day after day at low levels, it becomes destructive. Instead of building, your body is stuck putting out fires. Muscles break down faster, recovery slows, energy fades. And that slow burn of chronic inflammation is one of the most overlooked drivers of sarcopenia. Think of it like building a house. Imagine you've got a full crew ready to work, but there's a constant fire smoldering in the corner of the site. Instead of laying down bricks, the crew is distracted, spraying hoses and patching up damage. That's what chronic inflammation does to your muscles. It steals resources that should be building you stronger. So how do we fight back? The answer is simpler than most men realize: your diet. Certain foods fan the flames of inflammation: processed sugar, fried oils, heavily refined carbs. But other foods act like fire extinguishers, cooling the burn and freeing your body to repair and grow. These anti-inflammatory foods are not exotic, not expensive, and not new. They are timeless, proven, and they belong in your kitchen right now. Let's break them down. 1. Fatty fish. Salmon, sardines, mackerel, and trout. These cold water fish are loaded with omega-3 fatty acids, which directly block the production of inflammatory molecules. The beauty of omega-3s is that they don't just protect your heart and brain, they make your muscles more responsive to insulin, which means the nutrients you eat actually get into your muscle cells where they belong. Studies show that older adults with higher omega-3 intake respond better to resistance training, gaining more muscle and recovering faster. Gentlemen, that's a game changer. 2. Berries, blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries. These aren't just sweet treats. They're antioxidant powerhouses packed with vitamin C and anthocyanins. After exercise, free radicals spike, damaging cells and prolonging soreness. Berries neutralize those free radicals, allowing your muscles to bounce back faster. One fascinating study showed that men who consumed blueberries had less exercise-induced muscle damage and recovered strength more quickly. So next time you're tempted by a sugary dessert, reach for a handful of berries instead. 3. Leafy greens, spinach, kale, Swiss chard. These vegetables are loaded with magnesium and vitamin K. Magnesium is crucial for muscle relaxation, preventing cramps and calming inflammation. Vitamin K strengthens bones and supports proper clotting, both essential for men trying to stay independent and mobile. Gentlemen, if your plate doesn't have something green on it daily, you're missing out on nature's most affordable anti-inflammatory medicine. 4. Turmeric and black pepper. This golden spice contains curcumin, a compound proven to block inflammatory pathways. The problem, curcumin isn't absorbed well on its own, but when paired with black pepper, its absorption skyrockets. That's why traditional Indian cooking has paired them together for centuries. A pinch of turmeric in your soup or scrambled eggs may seem small, but over time it builds a powerful anti-inflammatory defense inside your body. 5. Nuts and seeds. Almonds, walnuts, chia, flax, pumpkin seeds. These little powerhouses combine healthy fats, antioxidants, magnesium, and zinc, all critical for recovery. Walnuts in particular are rich in plant-based omega-3s, adding another layer of inflammation-fighting support. Chia and flax bring fiber and compounds that lower oxidative stress. A small handful of nuts each day is like carrying muscle insurance in your pocket. 6. Olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil is one of the most studied anti-inflammatory foods on Earth. It contains polyphenols and olecanthal, a compound that acts much like ibuprofen, quieting inflammation without the side effects of drugs. That's why the Mediterranean diet, rich in olive oil, is consistently linked to stronger muscles, healthier hearts, and longer lives. A drizzle on your salad or vegetables is not just flavor, it's medicine. 7. Legumes, beans, lentils, chickpeas. These aren't glamorous, but they are packed with fiber, plant-based protein, and polyphenols that feed your gut bacteria. Why does that matter? Because your gut controls inflammation throughout your body. A healthy gut microbiome produces compounds that lower systemic inflammation, protecting your muscles in ways few men ever consider. 8. Colorful vegetables. Tomatoes, peppers, carrots. Bright colors mean powerful antioxidants. Tomatoes are rich in lycopene, especially when cooked, which reduces markers of inflammation. Peppers deliver vitamin C, supporting collagen for joints and tendons. Carrots provide beta-carotene, fueling both vision and cellular defense. Gentlemen, the more colors on your plate, the more layers of protection in your body. 9. Green tea. Simple, inexpensive, ancient. Green tea is loaded with catechins, especially egg, which lower oxidative stress and reduce chronic inflammation. Athletes use it to speed recovery. For older men, a cup or two a day may mean stronger muscles, better focus, and more steady energy. Now, let's connect the dots. When you make anti-inflammatory foods the foundation of your diet, you're not just easing soreness after a workout. You're creating an environment where your body spends less time fighting fires and more time building strength. You're stacking the odds against sarcopenia. This is why diets like the Mediterranean or traditional Japanese diet consistently outperform the modern Western diet when it comes to longevity. It's not about magic or supplements. It's about consistent intake of foods that calm inflammation, repair tissue, and fuel muscle. So ask yourself, what's on your plate? Processed snacks that fan the flames or whole foods that cool them? Each meal is a choice that shapes whether you're building up your reserves of muscle and vitality or tearing them down. Gentlemen, let me put it bluntly, you cannot fight sarcopenia while your body is inflamed. It's like trying to build a house while a fire is smoldering. Put out the fire and suddenly construction can move forward. And this brings us to something I value deeply in this channel, conversation with you. In the next section, I'll be reading and responding to real questions and comments from men like you, your doubts, your challenges, even your criticisms. Because this isn't just about theory. It's about your lives, your kitchens, your choices. and together, we'll make sure no question goes unanswered. Gentlemen, one of the things I value most about this channel is the conversation we're building together. I don't just want to talk at you, I want to talk with you. After the last episode, I received dozens of thoughtful comments, sharp questions, and yes, even a few skeptical jabs. That's exactly how it should be. So let's dive into a few of them right now. Question 1 from Richard in Ohio. Dr. Prescott, I've been drinking bone broth every morning for 3 years. Are you saying I've wasted my time? Answer, Richard, not at all. If bone broth brings you comfort, if it's part of your morning ritual, it hasn't been wasted. But here's the distinction. Bone broth is soothing, not strengthening. Think of it like polishing your boots. It makes them look good, but it doesn't toughen the leather. If you want strength, you need eggs, resistance training, and hydration on your side. And keep the broth if you like it, but don't mistake it for muscle fuel. Question 2 from James, age 72, Florida. My doctor told me to cut eggs because of cholesterol. Now you're telling me to eat them daily. Who should I believe? Answer, James, that's a fair concern. For years, eggs were painted as villains. But the science has changed, and I follow the science. Large-scale studies now show that moderate egg consumption does not increase heart disease risk for most people. In fact, the yolk carries nutrients vital for muscle, brain, and eye health. So unless your physician has given you very specific reasons tied to your personal condition, eggs are safe and powerful. And I'll tell you this, your muscles don't read cholesterol charts, but they do respond to high-quality protein. Question 3 from anonymous comment. Doc, are you just working for the egg industry? This sounds like an ad campaign. Answer, that one made me smile. Gentlemen, if the egg industry ever hired me, I'd demand payment in omelets. No, I don't work for anyone but you, the men who tune in here because you want truth, not marketing. Eggs don't need an ad campaign. They've been feeding human strength for thousands of years. My job is simply to remind you not to overlook the simple things while chasing shiny fads. Question 4 from Patrick in Texas. What if I'm lactose intolerant or can't eat eggs? Am I doomed to sarcopenia? Answer, absolutely not, Patrick. Eggs are powerful, but they are not the only tool in the shed. Greek yogurt, lean meats, lentils, fish, and even plant-based proteins can all contribute. The key is quality and consistency. The principle is the same: high-quality protein plus resistance exercise equals protection against sarcopenia. Remember, it's not about one food, it's about the whole system you build. Question 5 from Harold, age 68, California. Dr. Prescott, you keep saying muscle is life, but at my age, isn't it too late to build muscle? Answer, Harold, my friend, let me be very clear, it is never too late. I've seen men in their late 70s and 80s put on measurable muscle mass after just a few months of proper nutrition and strength training. Your body may not respond like it did at 25, but it will respond. Every pound of muscle you gain now is a step toward greater independence, balance, and confidence. The only too late is when you stop trying. Gentlemen, I love these questions. Keep them coming. Drop yours in the comments, whether they're supportive, skeptical, or just plain curious. I read them, I respect them, and I'll keep answering them right here. Now let's keep building momentum. We've talked about protein, hydration, and inflammation. In the next section, I'll take these lessons and put them into practice with simple, practical dietary strategies, because knowing is only half the battle. Doing is where change happens. Gentlemen, we've covered the science, the protein, the hydration, the fight against inflammation. But let's be honest. At the end of the day, all the knowledge in the world doesn't mean much if it doesn't end up on your plate. So in this section, I want to strip away the theory and give you clear, practical steps you can start using today to keep sarcopenia at bay. Start your day with muscle. Too many men begin their mornings with toast and coffee, quick, convenient, and unfortunately weak on protein. Instead, flip the script. 2 boiled eggs with a side of spinach, a veggie omelet with avocado, even Greek yogurt with walnuts and blueberries. Each of these choices delivers high-quality protein plus the anti-inflammatory nutrients we've already talked about. When you feed your muscles first thing, you send your body the message, stay strong today. Spread protein through the day. One of the biggest mistakes I see is men loading all their protein at dinner. Your muscles respond better when protein is spread evenly. Aim for 25-30 grams per meal. That could be grilled chicken at lunch, beans and rice with veggies, or a tuna salad. The key is not just how much protein you eat, but when you eat it. Give your muscles multiple signals to grow and repair throughout the day. Make hydration automatic. Don't wait for thirst. Keep a water bottle nearby and sip steadily. Pair it with electrolyte-rich foods, a banana, a handful of almonds, or even a glass of low-fat milk. Remember, muscles thrive when they're both fueled and electrically charged. Color your plate. This isn't just about presentation, it's about power. Fill at least half your plate with colorful vegetables and fruits. Red tomatoes, orange carrots, green kale, purple berries. Each color represents a different antioxidant army working to keep inflammation down and recovery up. If your plate looks beige and bland, so will your energy. Don't fear healthy fats. Olive oil on your salad, salmon twice a week, a small handful of walnuts. These fats aren't your enemy, they are your allies. They stabilize hormones, reduce inflammation, and help your body absorb fat-soluble vitamins like D and K, which are critical for bone and muscle function. And plan your recovery. After exercise, don't just collapse into the recliner. Within an hour, give your body a mix of protein and carbs. A simple option, scrambled eggs with sweet potato or Greek yogurt with a drizzle of honey. This post-exercise refueling accelerates repair and primes you for tomorrow's strength. Keep it sustainable. Gentlemen, this is not about chasing exotic superfoods or spending a fortune on powders. It's about building a rhythm. Eggs, greens, lean protein, water, nuts, olive oil, berries, foods your grandfather would recognize, foods your grandmother cooked. Old wisdom backed by modern science. Now let me add this, no plan works without consistency. It's not the one heroic meal that saves your muscles, but the hundreds of small, steady choices over months and years. That's how you build a future of strength. In the next section, I'll take you deeper into how your muscles actually repair themselves, the microscopic process that explains why protein, hydration, and rest matter so much. And once you understand that, every meal and every workout will make more sense than ever before. Gentlemen, let's take a closer look at what actually happens inside your body when you train, when you fuel, and when you rest. Because if you understand the repair process, you'll see why all the choices we've been talking about, protein, hydration, anti-inflammatory foods, are not optional extras. They are the very bricks and mortar of your strength. Here's the sequence. When you challenge your muscles, whether that's lifting weights, climbing stairs, or carrying a heavy box, you create microscopic tears in the fibers. It sounds destructive, but this is exactly how your body adapts. Those tiny tears signal to your system, we need to rebuild stronger. That signal kicks off a cascade of repair. Specialized cells rush in to clean up damaged tissue. Inflammatory molecules arrive too, but remember, this is short-term healthy inflammation, the kind that tells your immune system to mobilize. Then comes the critical stage, protein synthesis. Your body uses amino acids, especially leucine, to patch the damaged fibers and lay down new strands of muscle protein. The result, fibers thicker, denser, and stronger than before. But here's the delicate balance. If you don't supply enough protein, or if you're chronically dehydrated, or if inflammation lingers unchecked, that repair process stalls. Instead of growing back stronger, the muscle weakens. That's how sarcopenia accelerates. Your body still tries to rebuild, but it's working with missing parts and poor conditions. Think of it like renovating a house. You've torn down a wall, but instead of bricks and steel, the delivery truck shows up with cardboard and duct tape. You patch the hole, but the structure isn't stronger, it's weaker. That's exactly what happens when you ask your muscles to rebuild without the right fuel. This is why timing matters. Within about an hour after exercise, your muscles are like sponges, primed to absorb protein and nutrients. Give them high-quality protein, hydration, and electrolytes during this window and they rebuild efficiently. Skip it and the opportunity fades. And let me stress this, recovery isn't just what you eat, it's also what you do in between. Sleep is when growth hormone peaks, when tissues knit themselves together, when your nervous system resets. A man who eats well but never sleeps well is like a builder who brings supplies but never shows up to the job site. Nothing gets finished. So the next time you feel sore after a workout, don't curse it. See it as proof your body is listening. Feed it, rest it, hydrate it, support it with the right foods, and watch as even in your 60s, 70s, or beyond, your muscles answer back with strength. In the next and final section, I'll bring all of this together: protein, hydration, inflammation, recovery, and show you why staying strong at every age isn't just possible, it's your responsibility to yourself and to those who count on you. Gentlemen, we've traveled a long road together in this conversation through protein, hydration, inflammation, repair, and the practical choices that shape every meal and every workout. Now it's time to step back and look at the bigger picture. Aging is not a sentence. It's not a cliff you fall off after 60. It's a journey, and how you walk it depends on the choices you make daily. Sarcopenia is real, but it is not inevitable. You are not destined to shrink, weaken, and fade away. You are designed to adapt, to repair, to rebuild, even in your later decades, if you give your body the tools it needs. So here's my final word: muscle is not about vanity, it's about freedom. The freedom to climb stairs without fear, the freedom to carry your groceries, to play with your grandchildren, to travel without assistance. Strong muscles are strong lives, and when you protect your strength, you're not just adding years, you're adding quality to those years. That's why I want you to act. Don't just nod and move on. Start tomorrow with a plate that fuels you, not depletes you. Drink water with intention, add color to your meals, lift something heavy even if it's just your own body weight, and most of all, refuse to accept the myth that growing older means growing weaker. Now, if today's message spoke to you, do me a favor, hit that like button. When you do, my blessing to you is this: may your steps feel steadier, your mornings brighter, and your years richer than you thought possible. Subscribe if you haven't already, drop your thoughts in the comments, and share this with a brother, a son, or a friend who needs to hear it. We are building a community here, one man at a time, and your voice matters. Gentlemen, you are not broken, you are not finished. You are still becoming, and as long as you breathe, there is strength left to build. Let's keep building together.